Jake Morrison stood at the large window of the space station. He watched the stars shine in the darkness. This was his first time meeting aliens from other worlds. His heart beat fast, but he kept his face calm. The other humans had picked him. To speak for all of Earth, he could not let them down. The space station was huge. It floated around a planet called Kepler 442b. Many different alien races lived and worked here. Some looked like giant bugs. Others had 4 arms and blue skin. Some were so tall they had to bend down to walk through doors. Jake had studied pictures of them for months, but seeing them in person was very different. "Ambassador Morrison," said a voice behind him. Jake turned around. A woman in a blue uniform walked toward him. Her name was Lisa Hayes, and she was the captain of their ship. "The aliens are ready to meet you now." Jake nodded. "How do I look?" Lisa smiled. "Like a peaceful human who just wants to make friends." That was exactly what they wanted. For the past year, Earth had been sending messages to the galaxy. They told everyone that humans were a gentle race. They said humans loved peace and wanted to trade with other worlds. They never mentioned wars or weapons or anything that might scare. The aliens. Jake and Lisa walked through the halls of the station. Other beings stared at them as they passed. Most looked curious. Some seemed friendly. A few appeared worried, but not many. They entered a large room filled with different aliens. At the center sat a creature that looked like a rhinoceros walking on 2 legs. He wore a military uniform covered in medals. This was Commander Ziegmer, the head of security for the whole station. "So these are the humans," Ziegmer said in a deep voice. "You are much smaller than I expected." Jake smiled and bowed slightly. "Thank you for welcoming us, Commander. We are honored to be here." A tall, thin alien with purple skin stepped forward. "I am Merchant Prince Vextar of the Zelenari Trade Group. We have heard good things about your people. You seem very peaceful." "We try to be," Jake said. "Humans believe that working together is better than fighting." Commander Ziegmer laughed. It sounded like rocks falling down a hill. "With those tiny teeth and soft hands, I doubt you could fight even if you wanted to. You probably evolved from prey animals that spent their time running away from real predators." Jake kept smiling, even though the words stung. "Perhaps you are right, Commander. We have always been better at thinking than fighting." Near the back of the room, a man in a simple gray suit watched everything. His name was Kevin Ross, and he was a scientist. He studied alien life forms. Kevin's job was to learn about the other races without letting them know how much he understood. Kevin looked at Commander Ziegmer and made mental notes. The alien was strong, but he moved slowly. His armor had weak spots at the joints. His weapon was powerful, but took time to reload. Kevin cataloged every detail, while pretending to be just a curious scientist. Another human stood quietly by the wall. Sam Parker wore a dress uniform, but he was really a soldier. His job was to protect the human team. Sam had already counted every exit in the room. He knew which aliens carried weapons and which ones did not. He had planned 17 different ways to get his people out safely if something went wrong, but Sam kept his face relaxed and friendly. He even smiled when Commander Ziegmer made jokes about human weakness. "Your ship is interesting," said a new voice. The speaker was an alien that looked like a giant praying mantis. "We scanned it when you arrived. It has very few weapons." "Captain." Lisa Hayes stepped forward. "The Terra's Dawn is a peaceful vessel. We use it for exploration and trade, not war." This was not exactly true. The Terra's Dawn looked like a simple exploration ship, but it carried weapons that could destroy small moons. The humans had hidden them very carefully. Every alien scanner would see exactly what the humans wanted them to see. "How refreshing," said Merchant Prince Vextar. Most new species come here with huge war fleets. They want to prove how strong they are. You humans seem different. We are different, Jake agreed. We believe that showing strength through kindness works better than showing strength through force. An alien that looked like a walking tree spoke up. Your people have an unusual way of thinking. Most predator species use fear to get what they want. But we are not predators, Jake said with a laugh. Look at us. Do we look like hunters to you? The aliens looked at the humans more closely. They saw beings with forward-facing eyes, which usually meant predator, but the humans seemed so gentle. They had straight white teeth, but they used them for smiling, not threatening. They moved with fluid grace, but they used it for dancing. And art, not stalking prey. Commander Ziegmer shook his massive head. No, you definitely do not look like predators. You look more like... What do you call those animals on your world that eat grass? Herbivores, said Dr. Kevin Ross helpfully. Yes, herbivores. You look like smart herbivores who learn to use tools. The humans exchanged glances that were so quick, the aliens missed them. In that brief moment, they shared a silent understanding. The deception was working perfectly. We would like to establish trade relations with your people, said Merchant. Prince Vextar, you seem like honest, peaceful beings. The kind of partners we enjoy working with. We would be honored, Jake replied. Humans have always believed that trade builds friendships between different peoples. A small alien that looked like a blue monkey spoke up. What do your people want most? Weapons? Territory? Slaves? Jake looked shocked. Oh no, nothing like that. We want knowledge. We want to learn about your cultures and share our own. We want to explore new worlds and make new friends. We want to help solve problems and build a better galaxy for everyone. The aliens looked at each other. They had never met a species that asked for so little and offered so much. Remarkable, whispered the tree-like alien to his neighbor. They really are different. Sam Parker watched all of this while appearing completely relaxed. He noticed which aliens seemed most interested in humans and which ones seemed suspicious. He memorized the faces of potential allies and potential threats. All of this information would go into his reports. Kevin Ross was also busy. He listened to every word and studied every gesture. He was learning how each alien species thought and what they feared. This knowledge would help humans understand their new neighbors better. As the meeting continued, more aliens asked questions about human society. They wanted to know about human government, human religion, human art, and human science. Jake answered every question carefully, always emphasizing human peaceful nature and desire for cooperation. You humans are very interesting, said Commander Ziegmer finally. I think you will fit in well here. You seem too gentle to cause any trouble. Jake smiled his warmest smile. Thank you, Commander. That is exactly what we hoped you would think. The meeting ended with agreements to start small trading partnerships. The aliens would provide raw materials and manufactured goods. The humans would provide their knowledge and services. Everyone seemed happy with the arrangement. As the human team prepared to leave, Merchant Prince Vextar approached Jake privately. I must ask you something, Vextar said quietly. Are you humans really as peaceful as you seem? In my experience, no species survives long enough to reach the stars without learning how to fight. Jake looked directly into the alien's eyes. We learned long ago that the strongest species is not always the one with the biggest teeth or the sharpest claws. Sometimes the strongest species is the one that knows when not to use its strength. Vextar nodded slowly. A wise philosophy. I think we will get along very well. After the humans left, the aliens talked among themselves. What do you think of them? Asked the tree-like being. They seem harmless enough, Commander Ziegmer replied. Probably came from a world with no major predators. That would explain why they are so trusting and cooperative. Their technology is impressive for such a peaceful species, noted the mantis-like alien. Intelligence can develop in prey species too, said Vexstar. Look at dolphins in Earth's oceans. Very smart, but they spend their time playing and socializing, not hunting. The aliens agreed that humans were a welcome addition to the galactic community. They would be good trading partners and probably good friends. None of them suspected that they had just welcomed apex predators into their midst out on the terras. Dawn, the human team, held their own meeting. How did we do? Jake asked. Perfect, said Sam Parker. They bought the whole act. They think we are harmless plant eaters who got lucky and developed space travel. Kevin Ross nodded. Their psychology is exactly what we predicted. They judge species by their own standards. Since they show aggression openly, they think any truly dangerous species would do the same. Captain Lisa Hayes looked out at the stars. Phase 1 is complete. We are now officially the galaxy's most harmless species. How long before they figure out the truth? Jake asked. Sam Parker smiled grimly. With any luck, they never will. But if they do, it will be too late. By then, we will be too well established to remove easily. And if they try to remove us anyway? Kevin asked. The team was quiet for a moment. Then Jake spoke in a voice that was nothing like the gentle tone he had used with the aliens. Then they will learn why humans became the dominant species on a planet full of predators. And they will learn why we are the only species to ever completely conquer our own world before REAC. 6 months had passed since humans first arrived at the galactic station. Now they had trading posts on 12 different worlds. The aliens were starting to see humans everywhere, but they still thought of them as harmless neighbors. Nina Foster stood in her office on the trade station orbiting Centauri Prime. Through her window, she could see alien ships coming and going. Each one brought more opportunities for human expansion. Nina was the head of human trade operations, but she was really much more than that. The Zephyrians want to meet again, said her assistant, bringing her a data pad. They are very interested in our negotiation methods. Nina smiled. The Zephyrians were a hive mind species. They all fought as one big group. They found human individual thinking fascinating, but they did not understand what it really meant. Set up the meeting, Nina told her assistant. And make. Sure, Dr. Kate Anderson is there. The Zephyrians love talking to our scientists. Dr. Anderson was working 3 levels down in the research section. She was studying Zephyrian biotechnology, learning how their hive mind worked. The aliens thought she was just curious about their culture. They had no idea she was figuring out how to disrupt their mental connections if humans ever needed to. Fight them. Kate looked at the organic computer in front of her. It was grown from living tissue and could process information faster than most mechanical computers. The Zephyrians had given it to her as a gift, wanting to see what individual human creativity could do with their technology. They had made a mistake. Kate's individual human brain could see patterns that their collective mind missed. She was already designing improvements that would make the biocomputer 10 times more powerful. More importantly, she was learning how to turn their own technology against them. Her computer chimed softly. A message from Nina Foster appeared on the screen. Meeting with Prime Node Shivan tomorrow at 14 o'clock. Bring your latest research. Show them how impressed you are with their biotechnology. Kate smiled and deleted the message. She would be very impressed tomorrow. She would ask lots of questions and praise their brilliant design. The Zephyrians would never suspect that every compliment was really her gathering intelligence. On the other side of the galaxy, Paul Davis was having his own success. He was the administrator of New Geneva, humanity's first major colony. The planet had been considered barely habitable when humans claimed it. Now it was one of the most prosperous worlds in the sector. Paul walked through the main city square, watching humans and aliens work together. To outside observers, it looked like humans had just been lucky. They had found mineral deposits that previous surveys missed. They had developed new farming techniques that worked better than expected. They had built cities that seemed to grow organically from the landscape. The truth was different. Humans had not been lucky. They had been thorough. Before the first colonist arrived, human scouts had mapped every inch of the planet. They knew exactly where the minerals were. They had tested hundreds of crop varieties in secret laboratories. They had planned every city down to the last street dot, but the aliens saw what humans wanted them to see. They saw a species that worked hard and got lucky. They saw beings who succeeded through determination and good hearts. They never imagined the cold, calculating intelligence behind every human success. A group of insectoid aliens approached Paul. They were Chithiri, warrior caste members of their species. Their leader was a massive creature with razor-sharp claws and mandibles that could cut through steel. Administrator Davis, the lead Chithiri, clicked in accented human speech. "We have come to see your colony's defenses." Paul smiled warmly. "Of course, though I am afraid you will be disappointed. We humans prefer to put our resources into schools and hospitals rather than weapons." This was technically true. New Geneva had very few visible weapons. But every building was designed to become a fortress. Every civilian knew exactly what to do if the colony was attacked. Every piece of farming equipment could be converted to military use in hours. The Chithiri leader looked around the peaceful city. "You have no warrior caste? No soldiers?" "We have security officers," Paul said. "But they spend most of their time helping lost tourists and breaking up arguments between drunk miners." The Chithiri exchanged clicks that Paul understood perfectly, though he pretended not to. They were saying that humans were foolishly weak and would be easy prey for any real military force. Paul nodded and smiled, all while mentally calculating how quickly his security officers could eliminate the Chithiri delegation. The answer was less than 30 seconds, but the Chithiri would never know that dot back on the Galactic station. Captain Ryan Bell was having his own conversation with alien warriors. He commanded a human merchant vessel, but several alien species wanted to test his ship's defenses. "Your cargo hold is very large," observed a Vorthik warrior. The Vorthik were one of the galaxy's most aggressive species. They looked like armored lizards and spoke in growling voices. "We humans like to trade in bulk," Ryan replied cheerfully. "The more cargo we can carry, the more profit we can make." The Vorthik warrior studied Ryan's ship through the docking bay window. "But where are your weapons? How do you defend such a valuable cargo?" Ryan laughed. "We take out very good insurance policies, and we are very careful about which routes we take. We always avoid dangerous areas." This was partly true. Human merchant ships did avoid unnecessary risks, but they were far from defenseless. Ryan's cargo hold contained mining equipment that could be reconfigured into siege weapons. His navigation computers could calculate firing solutions faster than most military ships. His crew of peaceful traders were all veterans of Earth's special forces. The Vorthik warrior looked confused. "But what if pirates attack you anyway? What if someone tries to steal your cargo?" "Well," Ryan said thoughtfully, "I suppose we would have to surrender and hope they let us live." "What else could we do?" The warrior nodded and walked away, satisfied that humans were indeed as helpless as they appeared. Ryan watched him go, then made a mental note to update his ship's defensive systems. The Vorthik were clearly thinking about testing human resolve, and Ryan wanted to be ready. Lieutenant Amy Clark was also dealing with warrior species. She was stationed at a joint military training facility where different alien races practiced combat together. Amy was there as a cultural observer to help humans understand alien military thinking. Today she was watching Kethmori soldiers practice their combat drills. The Kethmori looked like walking tanks with natural armor plating and built-in weapons. They were incredibly strong and tough, but they were also slow and predictable. "Would you like to try?" asked the Kethmori drill instructor. "It might be interesting to see how humans move." Amy smiled shyly. "I am not really a soldier. I just study military cultures. But I suppose I could try." She joined the combat exercise, making sure to move clumsily and react slowly. The Kethmori soldiers were gentle with her, treating her like a child learning to walk. They had no idea that Amy was analyzing their every move, memorizing their attack patterns, and identifying their weaknesses. When the exercise ended, Amy thanked the instructor politely. "That was very educational. You Kethmori are truly impressive." "Warriors," the instructor puffed up with pride. "Perhaps your people could learn from us. We could teach humans to be stronger." "That is very kind," Amy replied. "Though I think humans are probably too peaceful to be good soldiers. We prefer to solve problems with words rather than weapons." The Kethmori nodded approvingly. They respected humans for knowing their limitations. It never occurred to them that Amy had just identified 47 different ways to kill a Kethmori warrior with her bare hands. All across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Humans were establishing themselves as the friendly neighbors everyone wanted to have. They were helpful, peaceful, and seemingly harmless. They asked for very little and gave much in return. But small things were starting to add up. Human colonies never got attacked by pirates, even though they seemed defenseless. Human traders always made profitable deals, even when dealing with species known for cheating outsiders. Human diplomats could resolve conflicts that had lasted for centuries. Some aliens were beginning to notice these patterns. On the Zephyrian home world, Prime Node Shizan was reviewing reports about human activities. The collective mind processed information from thousands of individual Zephyrians who had interacted with humans. Something was not adding up. Humans were too successful for a species that appeared so weak. Their technology was too advanced for beings who claimed to be peaceful. Their understanding of alien psychology was too accurate for newcomers to galactic society. But every time the collective mind tried to focus on these inconsistencies, the humans would do something that reinforced their harmless image. They would ask for help with a simple problem. They would make a cultural mistake that showed their innocence. They would react with wonder and gratitude to alien kindness. Prime Node Shi-Vin decided that humans were simply a very lucky species. Perhaps their home world had been unusually safe, allowing them to develop intelligence without developing aggression. It was an interesting evolutionary path, but not a threatening one. Meanwhile, merchant Prince Vextar was having his own doubts. His trade network gave him access to information from Acros. The first crack in humanity's peaceful mask came from an unexpected place. Warlord Gaztalk of the Vorthek Dominion had decided to start a war with the Selenari Consortium. This was not unusual. The Vorthek started wars the way other species started conversations. But this war was different. It was happening right through the middle of human trade routes. Admiral Chris Taylor stood in the command center of his flagship, watching the tactical display. Red markers showed Vorthik battle fleets moving toward Zelenari space. Blue squares marked human colonies and trading posts that would be caught in the middle. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we are getting requests for help from 17 human settlements. They want us to evacuate them before the fighting starts." Taylor nodded. "Send the evacuation fleet. Make it look like we are running away in panic." Captain Lisa Hayes, now promoted to admiral herself, commanded the evacuation fleet. Her ships looked like simple rescue vessels, the kind any peaceful species would use to save their people from a war zone. The Terra's Dawn and 12 other ships jumped into the Kepler system. where the human colony on Haven Station was preparing for evacuation. The station housed 50,000 humans who worked as miners and traders. What the aliens did not know was that every single human on the station was also a trained soldier. Commander Ben Rogers led the evacuation operation. He had been briefed to make it look like a desperate rescue mission. The humans were supposed to appear frightened and helpless, but when the Vorthek scouts arrived early, everything changed. 3 Vorthek raiders jumped into the system just as the human evacuation was beginning. The raiders saw what looked like defenseless cargo ships loading panicked civilians. It was too good an opportunity to pass up. "Human vessels," came the growling voice over the radio, "prepare to be boarded. Your cargo and your people now belong to the Vorthek Dominion." Commander Rogers responded in a shaking voice. "Please, we are just trying to evacuate our civilians. We have no weapons. We are not part of this war." The lead Vorthek raider laughed. "Exactly why you will be so easy to capture." The 3 raiders moved in to surround the human ships. Their weapons were powered up and ready to fire. The Vorthek captain was already planning how much he could sell the human slaves for. Then the trap was sprung. The cargo ships suddenly revealed hidden weapon systems that made Vorthak raiders look like toys. The panicked civilians turned out to be the most disciplined fighting force the galaxy had ever seen. The helpless evacuation became a precisely coordinated military operation. It was over in 4 minutes. The Vorthak raiders were destroyed so quickly and completely that they never had time to send a distress signal. The debris was collected and disposed of. The human ships continued their evacuation as if nothing had happened. But other aliens had been watching. A Chithari scout ship had been observing the system from long range. They saw 3 Vorthek raiders enter the system. They saw the human evacuation fleet. Then they saw the raiders simply disappear. The Chithari captain tried to understand what had happened. His sensors showed no weapons fire, no explosions, no signs of battle. The raiders had just stopped existing. He sent a message back to the Chithari Empire. Something impossible happened in the Kepler system. Recommend immediate investigation. On the research station where Dr. Kate Anderson worked, the Zephyrians were asking new questions. They had been sharing their biotechnology freely with humans, expecting slow progress from individual minds working alone. Instead, Kate had made breakthroughs that should have taken the collective mind years to achieve. "Dr. Anderson," said Prime Node Shiven, "your latest improvements to our biocomputers are remarkable. How did you solve the neural pathway optimization problem so quickly?" Kate smiled and tried to look modest. "I just got lucky, I suppose. Sometimes looking at a problem from a different angle helps." But Prime Node Shijvin was not convinced. The collective mind had analyzed Kate's work in detail. The mathematical principles she used were beyond what any individual mind should be able to grasp. Her understanding of bioneural networks was deeper than most specialist Zephyrians achieved. "Dr. Anderson," the alien said carefully, "would you mind taking some cognitive tests? We are very interested in how human individual intelligence compares to our collective processing." Kate knew she was in trouble. The tests would reveal that her mind worked far faster and more efficiently than she had been pretending. But she could not refuse without seeming suspicious. "Of course," she said. "I would be happy to help with your research." The test began with simple pattern recognition. Kate deliberately got several answers wrong to hide her true abilities. But when the patterns became more complex, her predator instincts took over. Her mind automatically analyzed the relationships, processed the variables, and calculated the solutions. She solved a mathematical sequence that had taken the Zephyrian collective mind 3 days to work out. She did it in 17 seconds. The room went silent. Every Zephyrian in the facility felt the collective mind focusing on this impossible result. "Dr. Anderson," Prime Node Shivan said slowly, Could you please explain how you solved that sequence? Kate looked at the equation and realized her mistake. She had not just solved it. She had solved it in a way that showed complete understanding of 17 different mathematical principles, most of which humans were supposed to have never learned. I am not sure, she said weakly. It just seemed obvious. The Zephyrians looked at each other. Nothing about that sequence was obvious. It required advanced knowledge of quantum mathematics, bioneural processing theory, and several other fields that humans claimed to be unfamiliar with. Meanwhile, on New Geneva colony, Administrator Paul Davis was dealing with his own problems. The Chithari warrior caste had returned, and this time they brought friends. Administrator Davis, said their leader, we have heard strange reports about human colonies. They say your people never get attacked by pirates or raiders. This seems impossible for such a peaceful species. Paul kept his expression calm. We have been very lucky, and we are careful to avoid dangerous areas. But this system is in a dangerous area, the Chithari pointed out. There are 3 known pirate bases within jumping distance. Yet they never attack you. Why? Paul was quiet for a moment. He was trying to think of an explanation that would not give away the truth. The real reason pirates never attacked human colonies was simple. Any pirate who tried disappeared completely, along with their entire crew and ship. Perhaps they can tell we have nothing worth stealing, Paul said finally. The Chithari leader studied the prosperous city around them. New Geneva was obviously wealthy, with advanced technology and valuable resources everywhere. Administrator Davis, the alien said carefully, we would like to test your colony's defenses. Just a simple exercise to see how you would respond to an attack. This was exactly what Paul had been dreading. Any test would reveal that his peaceful colony could fight off a military invasion. There was no way to hide that level of defensive capability. I am not sure that is a good idea, Paul said. My people might panic if they think they are under attack. We will make it very clear that it is only a test, the Chithari insisted. We are curious about human survival instincts. They were about to learn more about human survival instincts than they wanted to know. The test attack came at dawn. Chithari warriors in training armor approached the colony from multiple directions. They were using practice weapons that could not cause real harm. It was supposed to be a simple exercise to see how civilians would react to danger. The colonists' reaction was not what anyone expected. Instead of panicking or hiding, the humans moved with perfect coordination. Every person knew exactly where to go and what to do. Within minutes, the entire colony had transformed from a peaceful town into a military fortress. The Chithari found themselves surrounded by humans who moved like professional soldiers. Colonists used farming equipment and construction tools as weapons with deadly efficiency. What had started as a simple test became a demonstration of human military capability. The exercise ended with every Chithari warrior captured or neutralized. Not one human had been injured. The entire operation had taken less than 20 minutes. The Chithari leader stared at Paul Davis in shock. Your people, they fight like trained warriors, Paul sighed. The secret was out, at least partially. All humans learn basic self-defense. Our world was dangerous. This was not exactly a lie, but it was not the whole truth either. Earth had been dangerous because humans were the most dangerous thing on it. Captain Steve Murphy was having similar problems on the colony ship New Horizon. His ship was carrying 30,000 colonists to establish a new human settlement. To outside observers, it looked like a simple transport vessel full of families and farmers. The Vorthek thought it would be easy prey. 5 Vorthek cruisers intercepted the New Horizon as it traveled through empty space. The raiders planned to capture the colonists and sell them as slaves. They had no idea what they were really attacking. Human vessel, the Vorthek commander broadcasted, surrender immediately. Your ship will be claimed as a prize of war. Your people will serve the Dominion. Captain Murphy responded in a worried voice. Please, we are just colonists. We have no weapons. We are not part of any war. Exactly. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in the organization's history. Representatives from 43 different species gathered in the Great Chamber, all of them demanding answers about humanity's true nature. Ambassador Jake Morrison walked into the chamber knowing that everything was about to change. For months, he had played the role of a peaceful diplomat from a harmless species. Today, he would tell the galaxy who humans really were. Commander Zietmer stood at the center of the chamber, his massive form imposing even among the diverse alien species present. Ambassador Morrison, he began in his deep voice, this council has received disturbing reports about human activities across the galaxy. Jake took his position at the speaker's podium. He looked calm, but every alien in the room could sense that something was different about him. His posture was straighter. His eyes were sharper. He moved with a confidence that had not been there before. What kind of reports, Commander? Jake asked. Merchant Prince Vextar stepped forward. Reports of human civilian ships destroying military vessels. Reports of human colonists fighting like trained soldiers. Reports of human scientists solving problems that should be impossible for individual minds. We want explanations, growled a Vorthek representative. How can a peaceful species accomplish such things? Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, but this time his smile was different. It was not the warm, friendly expression the aliens were used to seeing. This smile showed teeth, and there was something predatory about it. You want to know the truth about humans? Jake asked. Are you sure? Because once I tell you, you can never go back to thinking of us as harmless neighbors. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Aliens demanded immediate answers. Some called for human ships to be expelled from galactic space. Others suggested that humans should be quarantined until their true intentions could be determined. Jake waited for the noise to die down. Then he began to speak in a voice that carried clearly through the entire chamber. Very well. You want the truth, so I will give it to you. Humans are not the peaceful herbivores you thought we were. We are apex predators. We evolved on a world where everything was trying to kill us, and we became better at killing than anything else on our planet. The chamber fell silent. Every alien was staring at Jake with expressions of shock and disbelief. Every human trait you have observed is the result of millions of years of evolution as hunters and warriors. Our forward-facing eyes evolved to track prey. Our endurance evolved to chase down animals that could run faster than us. Our intelligence evolved to outthink creatures that were bigger and stronger than us. Dr. Kevin Ross entered the chamber carrying a portable holographic projector. He activated it, filling the air with images of Earth's history. This is how humans evolved, Kevin explained. We started as small primates living in trees. Larger predators forced us to become smarter. Climate changes forced us to become more adaptable. Competition with other human tribes forced us to become more cooperative. The hologram showed early humans hunting massive animals with simple tools. It showed them developing agriculture by domesticating plants and animals. It showed them building cities and creating technologies. But the most important thing you need to understand, Kevin continued, is that humans never stopped being predators. We just became predators who could think. A Zephyrian representative spoke up. But you told us you were peaceful. You said you preferred cooperation to conflict. Jake nodded. That is true. Humans did learn to prefer cooperation, but not because we were weak. We learned cooperation because it made us stronger. A pack of human hunters working together can bring down prey that no individual could handle alone. Captain Lisa Hayes joined Jake at the podium. Every human settlement, every trade mission, every diplomatic contact has been part of a coordinated effort. Humans do not work as individuals the way you thought. We work as a species-wide pack. She activated her own holographic display, showing the true extent of human presence in the galaxy. Red dots marked official human colonies. Blue dots marked secret human installations. Green dots marked worlds where human agents were operating undercover. The aliens stared in horror. There were thousands of dots. Humans had established a presence on almost every inhabited world in the galaxy. "This is impossible," whispered Prime Node Shiven. "How could you coordinate such an effort without our detection?" "Because that is what predators do," Jake replied. "We watch, we learn, we plan, we coordinate, and we strike only when we are ready." Commander Sam Parker entered the chamber wearing full human military armor. His equipment was far more advanced than anything the aliens had seen before. His weapons could probably level entire city blocks. "Every human you have met has been a soldier," Sam announced. "Our diplomats are soldiers. Our traders are soldiers. Our scientists are soldiers. On Earth, every citizen learns to fight from childhood. Not because we love war, but because a predator species that cannot defend itself becomes extinct." The Chithari Empress rose from her seat. "Are you threatening us?" "No," Jake said firmly. "We are explaining ourselves. You wanted to know why human colonies never get attacked by pirates. The answer is simple. Pirates who attack humans disappear. Completely. We do not negotiate with threats to our pack." A Kethmori general asked, "Why did you hide your true nature? Why not announce yourselves as warriors?" Dr. Kevin Ross stepped forward again. "Because we learned something important during our evolution. The strongest predator is not always the one that roars the loudest. Sometimes the strongest predator is the one that other animals never see coming." "We studied your species before making contact," Jake explained. "We learned that most galactic civilizations judge newcomers by their military displays. Species that appear weak are dismissed as harmless. Species that appear strong are viewed as threats to be eliminated. So we chose a third option," Lisa added. "We appeared just strong enough to be useful, but not strong enough to be threatening. We let you underestimate us while we learned everything about you." Merchant Prince Vextar's voice shook as he spoke. "You have been gathering intelligence on us for months. You know our weaknesses, our military capabilities, our trade routes, our political structures." "Yes," Jake confirmed. "We know everything about every species in this chamber. We know how you think, how you fight, how you can be defeated. We know where your important installations are located. We know which of your leaders can be reasoned with and which ones cannot." "This is an act of war," shouted the Vorthic representative. "No," Jake replied calmly. "This is an act of survival. We gathered this information not to conquer you, but to protect ourselves. A predator species that does not understand its environment does not survive long." Commander Zeekmer stood up slowly. His massive frame towered over the chamber, but for the first time since Jake had known him, the alien security chief looked uncertain. "Ambassador Morrison," Zeekmer said carefully, "what do humans want from the galaxy?" Jake smiled again, and this time his expression was genuinely warm. "The same thing we have always wanted. Trade, friendship, cooperation, a place to build our homes and raise our children in peace. But you just admitted that you are apex predators who could destroy us all," pointed out a tree-like alien. "Being capable of violence does not mean choosing violence," Jake explained. "Humans learned long ago that cooperation is more profitable than conquest. We would rather have you as trading partners than as enemies." Dr. Rachel Green entered the chamber carrying a datapad. "I have been authorized to share some of our research with you. This represents 6 months of human scientific work in cooperation with your species." She activated a holographic display showing technological advances that made even the most advanced alien civilizations look primitive. Medical techniques that could extend lifespans by centuries. Energy systems that could power entire star systems. Transportation methods that could cross the galaxy in days rather than months. This is what humans can accomplish when we work together with other species, Rachel explained. This is what we prefer to do with our capabilities. The aliens stared at the technological marvels in stunned silence. Every innovation represented advances that their own species would need decades or centuries to achieve. You have been holding back your technology as well as your military capabilities, observed Prime Node Shizin. Of course, Jake replied. Would you trust a species that showed up with overwhelming technological and military superiority? Or would you try to destroy them before they could conquer you? The Zephyrian collective mind processed this information. You hid your abilities to avoid triggering our defensive instincts. Exactly. We appeared just advanced enough to be valuable partners, but not so advanced that you would feel threatened. We let you think you were the more sophisticated civilizations while we learned from you. Admiral Chris Taylor entered the chamber accompanied by holographic representatives of every human colony commander, ship captain, and installation leader in the galaxy. The display showed the true scope of human organization across known space. This is the human presence in your galaxy, Admiral Taylor announced. Every red marker represents a human military installation capable of defending itself against any known threat. Every blue marker represents a human intellig. The silence in the Galactic Council chamber stretched for long minutes. 43 different species wrestled with the most important decision in galactic history. Work with the human predators, or try to destroy them before they could become. An even greater threat. Warlord Gaztok was the first to break the silence. The massive Vorthik leader stood up, his armored form bristling with barely contained aggression. This is exactly what I expected from humans, he growled. First they lie to us, then they threaten us, then they demand our cooperation. This is classic predator behavior. They want us to submit without a fight. Several other alien representatives nodded in agreement. The fear in the chamber was turning to anger as the reality of human deception sank in. The Vorthik Dominion will never bow to human demands, Gaztok continued. We call upon all free species to unite against this threat. These predators must be destroyed before they can enslave us all. Jake Morrison remained calm at the speaker's podium. He had expected this reaction from some species. Predators always recognized other predators, and they rarely submitted peacefully. Warlord Gaztok, Jake said quietly, you are making a mistake. The only mistake was trusting you humans in the first place, Gaztok replied. But that mistake can still be corrected. Admiral Chris Taylor stepped forward. If you insist on testing human military capabilities, we will accommodate you. But understand that this is not a fight you can win. We shall see, Gaztok snarled. The Vorthek have conquered dozens of species. We know how to deal with upstart predators. The warlord activated his communication device and began issuing orders to the Vorthek fleet. Within hours, every Vorthek warship in the galaxy would be converging on human space for a final confrontation. But Admiral Taylor was already 3 steps ahead. Computer, he said, speaking to the chamber's central system, display current positions of all Vorthak military vessels. The holographic display showed red markers throughout the galaxy, each one representing a Vorthak warship. There were hundreds of them, forming the largest military force the galaxy had seen in decades. Now display current positions of human fleet elements. Taylor continued. Blue markers appeared on the display. They surrounded every red marker. Human ships had been shadowing the entire Vorthek fleet for months, staying hidden while gathering intelligence and preparing for exactly this moment. This is impossible, whispered Commander Ziegler. How could you track our ships without our knowledge? Because we are better at this than you are, Taylor replied simply. Every Vorthek vessel is currently being observed by at least 3 human ships. Every Vorthek commander is under surveillance. Every Vorthek battle plan has been intercepted and analyzed. Warlord Gaztok stared at the display in disbelief. His entire military force was surrounded by enemies he had never known were there. You want a demonstration of human capabilities? Taylor asked. Very well. He activated his command interface and spoke a single word. Execute. Across the galaxy, the Vorthek fleet began to disappear. Not destroyed, not captured, just ... gone. Ship after ship simply vanished from sensor displays. Within 20 minutes, the entire Vorthek military force had been neutralized. Where are my ships? Gaztok demanded. What have you done to my warriors? They are safe, Taylor assured him. Transported to holding facilities where they will be well cared for until this crisis is resolved. We could have destroyed them, but we chose mercy instead. Mercy? Gazdak roared. You have just proven that you could eliminate any species whenever you choose. How is that mercy? Jake stepped forward. Because we chose not to eliminate you. We could have destroyed every Vorthek ship and killed every crew member. Instead, we captured them safely. That is the difference between conquest and protection. The demonstration had its intended effect. Every alien in the chamber now understood that human military capabilities were beyond anything they had imagined. Resistance was not just futile, it was suicidal, but not all the aliens were convinced that surrender was the answer. Empress, Click of the Chithari Empire, stood up slowly. You say you want cooperation, but you have just demonstrated that you could destroy any of us at will. How can there be true cooperation when one side holds absolute power? It was Dr. Kevin Ross who answered. Because humans learned something important during our evolution. The strongest pack is not the one where the alpha dominates through fear. The strongest pack is the one where every member contributes their unique abilities. He activated a new holographic display showing examples of human cooperation with alien species. These are joint projects between humans and other civilizations. Zephyrian biotechnology enhanced with human innovation. Kethmori engineering combined with human creativity. Zelenari trade networks expanded using human logistics. The examples were impressive. Every collaboration had produced results that neither species could have achieved alone. This is what we want to build, Kevin explained. Not an empire ruled by humans, but a galactic civilization where every species contributes what they do. Best, Prime Node Shi Ven of the Zephyrian Collective processed this information carefully. You are proposing a symbiotic relationship rather than a dominance hierarchy. Exactly, Jake confirmed. Humans will provide protection and advanced technology. Other species will provide their own unique capabilities and perspectives. Everyone benefits from the arrangement. Merchant Prince Vextar asked the practical question that was on everyone's mind. What guarantees do we have that humans will not change their minds and decide to conquer us later? Admiral Taylor answered with brutal honesty. None. You will have to trust us, just as we are trusting you with the knowledge of our true capabilities. But consider this, Jake added. If humans wanted to conquer the galaxy, we could have done it months ago. We had complete intelligence on every species, hidden fleets in position throughout your territories, and technological advantages you could not match. Yet we chose cooperation instead. Commander Sam Parker stepped forward. There is also a practical consideration. The external threats Dr. Ross showed you are real and growing stronger. Humans cannot fight them alone. We need allies who understand their own worlds and peoples. We need the cooperation of every species if the galaxy is going to survive. The chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as alien representatives discussed. this new information with their advisors. A choice was becoming clearer, but it was still not easy. Commander Ziegmer spoke for many when he said, "This is a difficult decision to make under duress. How do we know we are choosing freely when you have demonstrated such overwhelming power?" Jake nodded understandingly. "You raise a fair point. That is why humans are willing to make a gesture of good faith." Admiral Taylor activated his communication systems. "All human fleet elements, this is Admiral Taylor. Stand down to minimal defensive postures. Withdraw to previously designated safe distances. Make your presence obvious to local sensors." Throughout the galaxy, human ships began moving away from alien territories. They did not disappear or hide, but they pulled back to distances that would give other species time to react if humans changed their minds about cooperation. "This is our gesture of trust," Jake explained. "We are reducing our immediate military presence to show that we are serious about partnership rather than conquest." The aliens watched their sensor displays as human ships withdrew. It was a significant gesture, though everyone understood that humans could return to aggressive positions whenever they chose. Empress Clickth was the first to make a decision. "The Chithari Empire has always respected strength, but we have learned to respect wisdom even more. Humans have shown both strength and wisdom. We will join this alliance." Her decision started an avalanche. Species after species chose to work with humanity rather than against it. The benefits were too obvious, and the alternatives too dangerous to ignore. Within hours, a new galactic compact was drafted. Humans would serve as the galaxy's primary defense force against external threats. Other species would contribute their expertise in science, trade, culture, and local governance. Every world would maintain its independence while contributing to collective security. The compact also established new protocols for dealing with the external threats that humans had been fighting secretly. Joint fleets would patrol the galactic borders. Early warning systems would be expanded. Research into defensive technologies would be shared among all species. Only Warlord Gaztok refused to sign the compact. "The Vorthik will never submit to human authority," he declared. "You do not have to submit," Jake replied, "but you also cannot continue threatening other species. Your fleet will be returned when you agree to peaceful coexistence." Gaztok stormed out of the chamber, but he was alone. Even his own military commanders had seen the futility of fighting humans. The Vorthak Dominion would have to find a new path forward or face isolation from the rest of galactic civilization. 3 months later, the new system was working better than anyone had dared hope. Human defensive fleets patrolled the outer rim, intercepting threats before they could reach inhabited systems. Joint research projects were producing technological breakthroughs at an unprecedented rate. Trade between species had increased dramatically as human logistics networks eliminated piracy and transport delays. Dr. Kate Anderson stood